Another Carrie Stevens streamer I'm going to tie today. This is called the Don's Special. This was named after a client of Carrie's husband, who was a guide, George Donald Bartlett. And she actually created 3 different flies for him, which he was just quite tickled that she had named and created some flies for him. This is the Don's Special. I've done another video on the Don's Delight. And then there is also the G. Donald Bartlett. That's the 3rd one, which I'll end up doing a video one day on. But it's a fun fly. It's very, very basic. In terms of the body, it's just a tinsel body, tail, and throat. There's no underwing or belly on this. I like the color combination of the blue, gray, and grizzly in the wing on this. That's the Don's Special. I'll go ahead and get started tying. I'm going to start the Don's Special with my hook and the vise already. This is a Partridge CS15 in a size 2. It's a 10x long streamer hook. I'm going to go ahead and debarb this. I've already got my thread attached and have a base layer of thread along the hook shank just to kind of speed things up a little bit. The thread I'm using right now is a UTC 140 Denier in white. Don't have to use the white when I think about it because it is a floss body. It's not a floss body. It is a tinsel body, just a silver tinsel. So I could have used the black, but the white's just what I grabbed. So the first thing I'm going to attach is my tip and tag on the back here. I'm going to attach that, advance my thread down just past the point of the hook, and then I'm going to bring it back up. I'm going to bring it up maybe, I'm going to say not quite a quarter of the way, maybe a fifth of the way up. And I still am not certain the length of the tips and tags, how long they're supposed to be. I see some short, I see some long. I'm going to go ahead and apply the tinsel. Screw that in. Then I'm ready for my tail. Tail on the Don's Delight is just some yellow hackle. I'm going to use some yellow Schlappen. Tie this in so it sticks maybe about 3/8 to maybe a 1/2 inch past the bend. One thing you might notice here is that the butt ends of those barbs are creating a bit of a bump in the back here. Kind of hard to work around that. It depends. I guess I could tie in less tailing material and I wouldn't have that. I find that if I try and transition that bump a little bit, it just makes it look a little bit smoother. And at this point, I'm flattening out my thread to try and smooth that off a little bit. Keeping my thread flat, I'll smooth that off, but as well, I will get it from one end of the shank to the other a little bit quicker. Now I'm going to tie in the body material. As I mentioned, the tag and the body are both a silver tinsel. This is a Danville Mylar silver tinsel in a size 12. I find that even though this is a large hook, using a size 12, I get a smoother body than if I were to say go to a size 10, which would certainly cover the hook a little bit quicker. But I end up with not quite as smooth a body. So I'm going to trim that to a point and attach that to the hook shank. I'm going to put a layer of head cement along the thread wraps. And that's going to help affix the Mylar tinsel to the hook shank just a little bit better. Now I will proceed to apply the tinsel in one layer down and another on the way back up, which will cover up some of these small gaps. I want to apply this edge to edge, not overlapping. If I get some little gaps like I have right up in here, that second layer will cover those up. It's part of the reason for doing a double layer. You probably noticed how some of those little gaps that I had under there before got covered up by that second layer. I still have just a bit of a bulge back here, but I don't know how you could get around that. Now I'm going to transition over to my next tying thread. The Dawn Special has the head is black with a red band. So at this point, I'm actually going to transition over to my red, the Danville 6/0 in red, because that gives me a nice base of red, and then I'll put the black thread bands in to make it look like it's all black with a red band. You do this because if I were to finish this with black thread and just put a red band in it, that red band ends up getting very dark because of the black thread underneath. The throat on the Dawn Special, the same thing. It's a yellow hackle. I'm just going to use some more yellow Schlappen. I've already got 3 tufts out here. I'm going to tie one in. My throats usually go about halfway down the hook shank. Tie one underneath and then one on each side of the hook shank. And then I will smooth the headspace off here for tying in the wing. The wing on the Dawn Special is a blue hackle flanked by a gray hackle, and then that is also flanked by a grizzly hackle that is just a little bit shorter than the blue and the gray. I've already got mine pre-made, and there's a cheek of jungle cock on it. I'm going to hold this up here to see where the tail's going to end up and the wing placement, and then I'll cut the excess off here. And then I'm going to tie these in one at a time. I'll put the one on my side in first so that you can see this a little bit better. And now see, I just pulled a little bit hard there, and what it did is it pulled the whole stem cluster right here over, and it angled the whole wing a little bit. So I'm going to unwrap this and bring it back over to my side a little bit. And then I'm going to wrap this in. I'm going to secure that real well. And then I should have my wing nice and flat up against the hook. Tie in the other side. That should go right up on the side there. You can scooch these just a little bit before we get them all tied down. Once you're happy with the placement, we'll finish tying these in, forming the head, smoothing all this area off. Then we can use the black thread to put a black band in the rear of the head and in the front. You can probably see this in the camera, right back here I have just a little bit of a gap. I've got some red thread on the throat sticking out here, but the red thread on the wing isn't quite back far enough. I'm not going to concern myself with it, because what I'll do is I'll use the black thread here to create the band in the back, and I'll bring it back far enough to cover up that red thread there that's showing. And I am going to flatten my thread here just because I think it helps to get the overall head a little bit smoother. For black thread, I'm using a Danville 6/0 in black. I'm going to attach my thread in the back portion first. A couple of wraps, working my way backwards, wrapping over the tag end there, and I can cut away the rest of this. Make certain, see, now I'm getting that red on the throat all covered up there. I want to make certain I'm getting any red in the area of the black band covered up. A little bit right on the bottom. You want to take care to not get too much black thread on here, because you can end up increasing the diameter of the head back here and up here, and you can tell that the red thread is a little narrower. You want to just try and keep it so that it all is looking pretty uniform. I'm going to smooth it off with some clear lacquer in a little bit, but at the same time, it's still just take a little bit of care to make it look a little bit nicer. So there's the black in the rear of the head, and then I'll reattach for the front. Again, starting to wrap back and get that tag down, and then I can cut that off. Each of the bands is usually about a third of the length of the head. So I'll finish the front portion here. Get some head cement on this, and then come back with a couple coats of clear lacquer to just kind of make the head a little bit more polished, just to dress it up just a little bit. And that will complete our Don's special. So another wonderful little Carrie Stevens fly. These are just a lot of fun to do. There's a lot of similarities between all of them. But what I find really interesting is the color combinations in the wings. She had a real eye for the colors and the even textures and or I guess modeling like the Grizzly on this and its effect in the flies. So there's the Dawn Special. Thanks for watching today. Thanks for joining me at Devise today. I hope you learned at least a new pattern, if not a new technique, maybe a tip or trick here and there. If you have any questions about this fly or any of the techniques used in constructing this pattern, please leave them in the comments section down below. If you go to the trouble to ask a question, I'll go to the trouble to answer it. If you'd like to help dressed irons, please share this video with your friends and anybody you think that might enjoy this pattern. Until next time, remember, it's fly tying. If you're not having fun, then you're doing it wrong.